Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, dear Toastmasters and friends. Welcome to another special session, The Value Multiplier, Why Your Membership Matters. From the series, Any Club Can Thrive, Any Member Can Succeed. Now, let me start with a simple question. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, is my Toastmasters membership really worth it? If not, then it's time to think and get the answers. Today's session is designed to open your eyes to the hidden return on investment that Toastmasters delivers, an ROI far greater than your dues. We are in the renewal season, and this question is on everyone's mind. But here's the truth: your membership is not just about speeches, pathways, or ticking attendance boxes. It's about multiplying your value in the real world. So think about it. Toastmasters gives you a platform where you are not only positioned as a credible communicator, but also promoted as a leader and ultimately paid, because confidence, clarity, and influence are the currency of success. So, are you all ready for the session? Yes, if yes, please type in the chat box. Yes, we are ready. And I request all of you to open your videos and help us to make this session more engaging and vibrant. Thank you. So before moving on, here is a poll for all of you. I request Zoom Master to open the poll. Thank you. So the question is, what's the biggest value you have personally gained from Toastmasters so far? It's confidence, communication skills, leadership opportunities, or friendship and networking. Let's see. I can see most of you think it's confidence, that you all are gaining confidence. Communication skills is the second highest voted option. Yes, we have people for leadership opportunities. I can see almost similar responses, almost equal response for all the options. Thank you. Please keep responding. Only 74%, 76% participants have voted. Thank you. So the real question isn't should I renew? It's how much value would I lose if I don't? So before we start, please type your name, your club name, and the country you are joining from. Let's see and know our participants today. You all can type in the chat box your name, your country name, from where you are joining today. I can see Alina joining from Cyprus, Irfan Faruqi from Pakistan, Ruth from USA, Deepthi from India. We have Minja, I think, from Tanzania. Hope I'm pronouncing the names right. We have members joining from India, Mississauga, USA, Arizona, from Austria, Blue Danube from Austria. We have Anne Golden from, again, US, Hannah from Namibia, John Ajifo from USA again. We have Owen Monde from US, Elizabeth from USA. We have members joining from Togo, Michigan, Philippines, Ontario, West Africa. Amazing. Wonderful to see such a great participation. Thank you, everyone. And I am Dr. Ashwati Rajan from India, an instructional coach and a trainer, the immediate past Club Growth Director of District 120, and a proud member of Leadership Speak. I will be the MC for today. And if you have any questions to the speaker, please direct them to me or type in the chat box. All your questions will be answered during the session and towards the end. Kindly keep the chat focused on today's session only. Any kind of promotion, personal or professional, is not allowed. Our team is closely monitoring the chat and any unrelated messages will be removed. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to hear from the visionary behind this event. Distinguished Toastmaster Brahm Memone. He's not just a name in Toastmasters. He is a force. The founder of Leadership Speak, the world's top-ranked advanced Toastmasters club out of over 15,000 globally. A three-time distinguished Toastmaster with 29 years of leadership and communication mastery. Brahm has redefined what it means to lead, speak, and grow. But his impact goes far beyond Toastmasters. He is a globally respected leadership coach, elite trainer, and keynote speaker, known for pushing boundaries and challenging leaders to rise to their full potential. His acclaimed program, Pro Speak and Lead, is a 5-star training experience that has transformed professionals into confident communicators and purpose-driven leaders. Today, he brings us a powerful keynote titled The Value Multiplier, Why Your Membership Matters. Please welcome the man who is building the next generation of transformational leaders, Brahm Memone. Brahm, the virtual podium is all yours.
Thank you. I have a technical difficulty, so we will pause for a second, all right? As always, when there's technology involved. Can you hear me, first of all, Aswati?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
But you can't see me, right?
Yes, can't see you.
Good. We will sort that out. So what you see on the screen will disappear for a second, all right? And then come back. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the whole presentation now, right? There we go. And here I am.
Yes.
Here's the presentation again and me, hopefully. Voila.
Yes, perfect.
Technology, I'm telling you, I've got 4 different screens everywhere, iPhones and mics and God knows what, wires running everywhere. So this is a production. Thank you all for coming today. This is a very important presentation for me because I have been a member. Some of you already know this. I have been a member for over 29 years, almost 30 years. Sometimes I forget the count. I tell my club members I've been around for 30 years. It's actually just over 29 years. Now, why have I renewed my membership over and over and over again? Now, there was a small period of time I didn't renew my membership when I was traveling outside the country and I had no access to any Toastmasters club. And I was away for quite a long time, over a year away. That was about 8 or 9 years ago. So that is the only big break I had in my Toastmasters membership. Otherwise, I've been a member since 1996. Some of you were not even born, right? If you were not born, put that in the chat. I wasn't born. Okay, so what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about the return on your investment. The question really is, what is the membership fee and what does it bring to us? The value proposition of a $60 Toastmasters membership. $60. And I know whenever the price goes up a little bit, people say, oh, too much price. I'd pay twice and more. And I'll explain the reason why I've been a member for 30 years and I'm still a member, and it allows me to do this sort of presentations. I'm learning how to do a presentation online, and this is my learning opportunity with you today. So as I'm learning and I'm presenting, I'm serving and contributing and learning on a large platform. Sometimes we have hundreds of people attending. Today we have about 70 odd people, right? So now most people, as you've heard from Aswati, think of speeches or projects or awards that's like valuing a diamond in its weight. You cannot value a diamond in its weight, by the weight. Gold, maybe platinum, but diamond is very special. It's not only the size of the stone, but it is how you will polish that stone. How you will polish that stone is very, very important when you have a diamond. The way the light will refract and reflect around it and through it is the key importance in the value of the diamond, let alone the size of the diamond. Would you agree? And that is what the Toastmasters program is all about, is what are you polishing? How are you polishing yourself, your confidence? People voted for confidence, right, as the top, and then it was communication, and then the other two, and they were almost the same, friendships and networking and all that. But the results are in the chat for you guys. Have a look. That's the full result. Thank you, Nelly. Nelly Jane is my Zoom master, and she put that poll in. So thank you, Nelly. So my contention is the real value is really exponential. And I will tell you why in the next hour or so. And you can take this back to your clubs, to your areas, districts, and globally, anywhere that you're a member, and make sure that your members understand the real value. Besides standing up and speaking, sure, we all stand up and speak. But even when we stand up and speak, I've seen Toastmasters that they've taken years and years and years to even improve a little bit. How have they been polishing the stone, right? It's very, very important. So how fast are you building your skill? What skills are you building besides standing up to speak? I'm not going to talk and belabor the point of you don't write your speeches two days before and all that. We've done all that. For those of you who attended this series, know that, right? I've talked about that enough, and many other different things about club quality and so on. Today it is about membership and how Toastmasters can really, really impact the way in which you can impact the world, and you may not even notice. Besides the confidence, besides the communication, though those are part of the key elements, of course, to give you the rest. So $60 plus, of course, your club dues on top, right? Because the club needs to pay the rent, pay the Zoom license, whatever. In my club, it is just $60 currently. And in some countries, if you are in countries like, I think, India, Germany, I forget, there's another country, and Canada as well, we pay sales tax on it. And different countries have different sales tax. India has 18%, Germany has, I think, also 18%. We have 13%. And then there's, I think, Singapore, or no, I can't remember. But anyways, you know what I mean, right? So $60 plus the value added tax. And I think more and more countries will start charging tax on the membership fee, which is unfortunate because it is really education. But the way our structure is, unfortunately, our structure says pay the sales tax. But there's value despite the sales tax. And I paid my sales, well, actually I paid it before the sales tax came in. This August it jumped in. And I paid my dues up to September of next year. So now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Nelly, if you can launch the poll for us. And I said the handout, but there's no handout. Let's see what we can do. So this is Aswati's poll. If you can take that off and launch the other poll. And while you're doing that, let me see if I can find. So go ahead, Aswati, can you read that poll, please?
Yeah, sure. So the question is, when you think of the value proposition of Toastmasters, which area feels most important to you today? Personal ROI, confidence, conviction, credibility, professional ROI, career advancement and influence, community ROI, belonging and global connections, legacy ROI, mentorship and impact beyond self. And the last option is not sure. I have never thought about it in this way.
Okay. Wonderful. Let me just take a closer look on the screen here, how people are voting. Personal return on investment, the confidence, the conviction, and the credibility. Professional is way behind, and then community way behind. Legacy, wow, a bit higher. Keep voting. I have a technical difficulty in accessing the handout. We will make sure that we do the handout at the end. Anyways, it's just rough notes. You wouldn't be able to print it and write it right now, all the notes, but it'll be a takeaway for you as and when you get back to that. So let me see. No, it's not appearing on my device here, unfortunately. So, okay. But I promise that Nelly remind me, or Aswati remind me at the end, that we will give the handout out, okay, for them to review what we've done here today. So what is the result there so far, Aswati?
Yeah, so 63% people think that personal ROI, confidence, conviction, and credibility, followed by legacy ROI, which is mentorship and impact beyond self.
Right.
And
okay.
Professional and community ROI is almost same, 27 and 22%.
Yeah. See, when we were starting to run this series of any club can succeed, any member can thrive, or is it the other way around? We had a poll about a month ago where we asked, why are you in Toastmasters? And we had, are you here for professional development, personal, social? We had so many different questions. 99% of you, or those who came here, answered that they were here in Toastmasters for professional reasons. For professional reasons. So the results here are a little bit surprising, but then that's because we really haven't examined all this. So these are all trick questions to begin to make you think as to what else could you get out of this. And as well, you can, this is a multiple choice, you can choose all of them if you want, if you think it's all of them or just one of them, all right, and so on. It's not just single choice question this time. With that said, Nelly, if you can take the picture of the poll, post it in the chat, which I think you've already done that. Wow, perfect. Thank you very much. And if you can close the poll so that we can move ahead. Let me just close it off my screen as well, so you can see that. And my other screen as well, hopefully. There we go. Okay, so let's go through what are we doing here today and what value can you really get out of Toastmasters and how you can really fast track into something very different. I was going to say level 4 and level 5, but let's keep away from pathways, right? Just let's move away from pathways, mentioning pathways, because I did say in my promotional material, besides the pathways, what else? Okay, so for $60, here are the things that you would get out of Toastmasters, right? Personal return, right? Mastery of self, right? Second is professional return on investment, career and influence, which was low in your voting. Personal was number 1, community and networking and belonging, and the legacy. Now, there is a number 5 as well, which I will not talk about until the very end. So stick around, because number 5 is really why you want to be in Toastmasters. And if you really begin to think of it in that manner, then you will not ever let your membership lapse, or none of the members in Toastmasters really let their membership lapse, unless they have gained number 5 total in the complete masters of number 5, which I will introduce at the end as a surprise. It was in one of my promotional material, actually. So if you were paying attention, you'll know exactly what I mean. But here we go. So that's number 5 is coming up later on after I've talked about these 4. These 4 are very, very important, because even though you said personal mastery, professional return on investment, community, and legacy, but what does it really mean? And are you really going deep into it and really understanding the full value of what you're doing? Okay, so personal return on mastery. The first thing is, of course, what is mastery? Mastery is gaining competence, internal skills, of course, because speaking is all about internally how we are and how we appear to the world and what's our brand. It not only includes, of course, going through the pathway, which is part of it, and getting confidence, but how do you brand yourself? For example, and this is very common because I've been in Toastmasters for 30 years, and I have found that in the 14, 15 clubs that I've been a member of, I found one of the biggest things is people commit to something and then they don't follow through. They think, oh, it's okay, it's just a Toastmasters club, I'm learning. But this is how you're branding yourself, because whatever you do in Toastmasters club, you will do outside in the real world. Very quickly, in any club that I go to, I begin to note down who is really a committed member and who is one of those members that when they say something, they may not follow through. So growth is not only about speaking and communicating, but it's about agency, having total charge, complete charge of who you are and how you portray yourself to a group of people who are studying communication and leadership. It is a club as far as legal and as a legal entity, but really we are studying communication and leadership. So what are you communicating when you don't do what you said you do, right? Like follow through. That's agency, getting autonomy and a leadership mindset, is being a member of a team together. So that's the very first thing, right? It's growth beyond public speaking. It's mastery of the self. And mastery of the self is one of the most important things that you can do. Personal inner competency. It is out of this that you gain confidence. It is out of saying what you would do and then doing it and following through. Taking complete charge of your journey, becoming a self-directed leader. Because this program is based on being self-directed. Would you agree? It is. Nobody can tell you when to speak, when to take on a role. If you really don't want to, they cannot force you. In my club, in Leadership Speak, it's an advanced club, so it's a bit different. You are required to participate at least 50% of the meetings, or we will tell you, don't renew your membership. We have a big waiting list for people who really want to learn what we do. Right? You can always find us on the dashboard, Leadership Speak in District 86. Most of you by now know what and who we are. The second thing that you really overcome is that imposter syndrome, right? And a lot of people go through this. I went through this. And people, even those people who have really progressed very far in the journey in Toastmasters and outside in the real world, from time to time get hit on the head with, who the heck am I to talk to these people in this manner? Who am I? Why should I be doing this? And they feel this imposter syndrome coming up. And therefore that again leads back to be consistent. Be consistent, and yeah, you'll feel the imposter syndrome. But the more consistent you are and the more confidence you gain, you'll begin to think in critical terms. Critical thinking is very, very important in putting your content together and your messaging and how you communicate to the world out there. When you begin to communicate in a manner where you've articulated your thoughts and feelings in a coherent manner, then you'll be able to speak with a deep conviction and credibility. And when you begin to do that in that journey, your imposter syndrome will begin to dissolve much, much more rapidly. Now, this I couldn't do, of course, when I first started Toastmasters, or even 20 years ago, I couldn't have done this sort of a presentation. Today, I can. And I don't get the imposter syndrome at all because, as you know, I do these presentations on a very regular basis. I've been doing them for years now anyways. So I don't even have to look at that anymore. Why am I doing this? I'm teaching and passing on my knowledge, but my goals are big outside in the real world and how I speak professionally. So I'm learning at the same time. Consistency, dear friends, consistency kills doubt. And your evaluations sharpen your thinking and your critical thinking, right? And critical thinking builds that inner strength. It's so key, critical thinking. And this leads to the 3 C's. The 3 C's are confidence, conviction, credibility, which most of you said that is your personal return on investment. That's the beginning. It is the floor. It's the bottom line for sure. Personal return on investment is the basics. But here's another thing that, I will actually talk quite a bit about. And that is having a master evaluator mindset. A master evaluator mindset. This is so key, ladies and gentlemen. This one here is key, right? And why is being a master evaluator a key? And that mindset. How many of you have done an evaluation? We all have. At least if you've done at least level 1 of pathways, you have done an evaluation, or more, or many, depending on how many years you've been in Toastmasters. Evaluation doesn't last for just the 3 minutes that you are standing up and speaking. It's not also about you are listening to the speaker, you write down your evaluation, and you stand up and deliver it, and that's it. The 3 minutes, right? You get. And plus, of course, while you're writing down your evaluation, while the speaker is speaking, you take a few notes. I think evaluations lasts. Being a master evaluator should stay with us for 24/7, 365 days a year, because it teaches us skills that are just out of this world. Conflict resolution. Let me give you an example. And this is my favorite example. Oh, by the way, since I've been a member of the Toastmasters for 30 years, I've gotten all sorts of evaluations. I've gotten, I have not received evaluations when the evaluator stood up and said, I can't give you an evaluation at this time. Because internally they had some disagreement, or they probably didn't understand a sentence or two that I was saying, and they were caught up with that, and they stopped, or their mind was wandering, whatever it is. I have had evaluators stand up and say, no, you are not right. I disagree with your material and what you presented. Has happened. How many of you have experienced? Have you experienced that? If you have, put that in the chat. Yes, I have. Say yes if you have experienced something similar where your evaluation was way off, or didn't get it, or they actually started to argue with your presentation. If that happened to you, put a yes. Let me have a look. Wow, quite a number of people. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And now, so, let me give you a story, okay? Suppose you were given a book. I mean, it was thoroughly recommended book. Everyone seemed to be reading it around you. So you went and picked it up. Pretty expensive book, right? $25 US for that book. And you picked it up. And you sort of open it with excitement, set aside a few hours one evening to say, okay, let me just look at this book. I'll read it. And then you started to read. And you read the book. You go through the preface and the table of contents and the author's notes, and then chapter 1. And so, what rubbish is this? How can people recommend this book? And you threw the book and said, I'm never going to touch the book. And as soon as possible, you got rid of the book. All right. Now, a few months later, you were assigned as an evaluator for somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our speaker. Speech title, name, speech title, and all that. And he stands up and speaks. And guess what he's speaking about? He's speaking about the book that you hated. You did not ever want to read it. You disliked the author. You said, I'll never recommend that book. And now he's presenting about the book, how much he liked the book, how much he got from the author, and all the great stuff that he learned from it. And now you are the evaluator, ladies and gentlemen. What would you do? That, I think, is what a master evaluator should be doing, right? Put aside the disposition. I don't care about my likes or dislikes or what I think about this subject. Here's a person that is speaking. How can I raise him to the next level and leave him inspired to continue to speak and learn and grow? That is your objective, isn't it? As an evaluator, as a Toastmaster. Forget being an evaluator. As a Toastmaster, that is primarily why you are here, to learn, to put aside your disposition, to observe, to listen, to make the appropriate notes, and then give feedback that helps the person grow and learn. So what you would do is you stand up and you do your evaluation. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. XYZ, thank you very much for your presentation. You excelled at this. Here are some of these are your strengths. Here's something that you may want to consider improving. This was the audience's takeaway. This was my takeaway. Even though, of course, you're not going to use that takeaway, but there was a takeaway in the presentation. So here's the takeaway. Thank you so much. And then you summarize it and say, we look forward to your next presentation. Isn't that what you would do as an evaluator? Would you, right? By the way, the evaluation workshop that I promised this crowd here for the global audience is coming up now it's very near. I've been promising that for a few presentations. It's coming up in the next little while, very, very soon. As well, Leadership Speak is holding an evaluation workshop as well on the 11th, which is on a Saturday morning. If you wish, you can come to Leadership Speak as well. So now let me just read some of the notes here. Aswati, is there any sort of note that really needs to sort of people are because it's too small for me to read. It's very far away, all the screens. Anything in the notes there, Aswati, that needs to be highlighted or talked about? Hello, Aswati?
Yes, I'm just checking the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a few notes. One by Sue Burnett. She says, great question. We work on how their speech when delivery of the content and how did their message land and how could they do better and shine next time. What worked well, what could work better.
All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And great. And I think there's another note from one of our members as well, Dipti. So the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, forget being an evaluator. Forget being an evaluator for just 3 minutes. Be an evaluator for the rest of your life in everything that you do. Why do I say this? I see a lot of conflicts in clubs. People forget to wear their evaluator's hat. If something is going on that you don't agree with, you say, use your evaluator's hat. If at work you're giving an evaluation or a review of your teammates, somebody who's your subordinate, right, who is an employee of yours, if you're an entrepreneur, you are required perhaps to give them feedback. You should be giving them feedback. How would you give them feedback? If you were the employee that was getting the feedback, how would you want that feedback to be? If everyone became a master evaluator, guess how the feedback would be everywhere and anywhere on this planet? See what I mean? So the personal return on investment, the confidence and the conviction and the credibility that comes if you become a master evaluator. And when you become a master evaluator, then you can become a master speaker, and your critical thinking sharpens. Critical thinking is so very important in today's world. Don't rely on artificial intelligence to think for you anymore. Begin to think for yourself and think critically about what this content is about. How can I put aside my disposition and whatever is going on in my club, in my community, in my family, with my spouse, with my partner? How am I going to listen, put aside my disposition, and can we have a conversation that is different? It is called a dialectical conversation out in the real world. And when you have that, embraced the mindset of an evaluator, you learn it here in Toastmasters. Everyone in Toastmasters can be an amazing communicator. And that will lead to point number 5. I will let you know what that point number 5 is at the end. But do you get now that evaluations don't last for just 3 minutes, they last a lifetime? Everywhere you are, anywhere you are always listening without your disposition, you're observing, and then you're actively participating with what's on the other side. That's what evaluations are. That's what a Toastmaster really is. And once you have that badge of Toastmasters, even if you leave Toastmasters, they should remain with you. But while you are here, and renew your membership and learn to be a master evaluator. Learn to overcome the imposter syndrome, be consistent, think critically, think with confidence, think with conviction, and think with credibility, and grow beyond your speaking by taking charge of your journey, complete charge of your journey. When I say something, I will do it, and I will follow through. That is taking charge. Your VP of Education knows when you are going to be doing your presentations and any role that you want to take. You plan it out. In Leadership Speak, we emphasize on that. So any of you who are in Leadership Speak or want to be in Leadership Speak, it's an advanced club, of course, so we require that to happen. Note that down if you're a newer member. People who've been members for a while, they know exactly what I'm saying. All right, so now let's go on to the second one, okay? I've belabored this point enough. This was the most important point, by the way, of course, especially becoming a master evaluator. To give you that confidence, that conviction, and that credibility. If you become a master evaluator, I must emphasize, you have to notice, you must notice that conflicts in your life and obstacles and stress should reduce considerably. It should, because you're putting aside your disposition and now you're just observing and then taking it forward from there. Would you agree? Professional return on investment. Okay, so what do I mean by professional investment? Now, most of us think that, okay, I have been in Toastmasters. My team will ask me to do a presentation. So, okay, I can at least stand up without nervousness, without my knees knocking together, and be able to do that presentation. I have had many members join Toastmasters Club because their boss told them, go to Toastmasters Club if you want a promotion. Go to Toastmasters Club and learn how to communicate better. So besides the presence in the boardroom or making a presentation to your clients or customers, to your teammates, right? One of the most important things is how you communicate one-on-one with individuals in your organization. I was very poor at communicating. In fact, when I was growing up, I wouldn't say a word to anyone. I was so petrified of speaking. I was always the top of my class. I always did so well in my workplaces, wherever I worked. This is going back a long time ago. I was never promoted. And people who had less skill, but who were articulate and could communicate well, would get ahead. And that wasn't good enough for me and then I discovered that I liked coaching better, and I went into the coaching business, and I had to learn how to speak, and I went to Toastmasters, how to learn to train. So when I first went to Toastmasters and when I joined, that was my key focus. How can I be an amazing, great trainer? Of course, it doesn't take 30 years to do that. I've been doing it now for quite a while, but I'm just getting better and better and better and bigger and bigger and bigger, of course. Right? And that was my mantra. How can I become a great trainer? And while I was consulting with organizations during my tenure as Toastmaster in the early days, I became a much better communicator. I got ahead well. I got paid better. Yep, you heard that right. So the leadership presence was definitely out there. And when I would be asked by my boss or people who hired me, because I used to consult, and they would say, do you need any support? I said, I don't need any support. I'm totally self-sufficient. I can do this. And if you need any support, and everybody in the team and around me felt totally supported, communication was key. Your primary skill is communicating out in the real world. And besides your family and your friends and so on, at work, how you're communicating and how you come across is very, very important. Because what's this thing that we call inform, inspire, persuade, and entertain? Right? These are the 4 things. Where did I get this from, by the way? I got this from level 1, speech number 2. Level 1, speech number 2. It is there, right there. Are you informing? Are you inspiring? Are you persuading? Or are you entertaining? If you're called to do a keynote speech, if you're presenting to your team members, right? What are you doing? Which one of these are you doing? If you are an evaluator, do you know which one it is that the speaker is using today for his presentation? Did you understand it was an informational, inspirational, persuasional, or entertaining? Which means you are thinking critically and listening well for what is my takeaway and what is the message, and is there a call to action? Where does it fit? And so when you are making a presentation professionally in your professional life, do you really know which one are you using? Now we know of our Sabayashi Sengupta, the world champion of public speaking, right? He wanted to be a performer, right? He wanted to work in Bollywood and then Hollywood and in plays, and got rejected all the time. He didn't give up, found Toastmasters and used his skills of Toastmasters in his presentation at his workplace, and they said to him, you do the presentations from now on. And he's now the world champion of public speaking. This year in August. Did you all watch it? It's on YouTube now, free. Watch it. Amazing, amazing use of humor and yet a great takeaway message. So he was not only speaking to entertain, but he was inspiring and informing us about life. That's, of course, a high skill to have. And yet this is in your level 2. I mean, level 1, speech number 2, writing a speech, pathways. If you have done your pathways and you still don't know this, then you haven't read your project. Sometimes I can be blunt. So when you are informing, inspiring, persuading, and entertaining, you are also perhaps, and I used to actually teach this, that isn't in the manual. You could be influencing. Leadership is all about influence. You could be negotiating, or you could be motivating. So those are also other things and skills that you could pick up that's not in the manual. Now, what sort of presentation is this particular presentation? It is training. So training is informational, right? This is what it is. I'm informing you of the value, proposition, return on investment in Toastmasters from my experience. I didn't just read it somewhere and I'm regurgitating it. From my experience in 30 years, what I have learned, and I'm using it consistently. If you come to Leadership Speak, the top club globally, you will hear that. You will see it in action, right? So that's what you get. And what else? If you are doing other things, okay, let's talk about pathways. or a meeting that you're running as Toastmaster of the day or general evaluator, guess what? Especially as the Toastmaster of the day, you are a project manager. You are running a team of people who will come together in the study group, and they all have roles, and you know the agenda. You'll start the meeting, you'll finish the meeting, unless of course you're president. In my club, we prefer the Toastmaster of the day, gain the full experience of running the meeting and finishing the meeting. We have the president come on towards the end just for the guests for a little while. But it is the Toastmaster of the day. It is their meeting, and they run the meeting, and they make sure that everyone on the team will be at the meeting, and they do the follow-ups 2-3 weeks ahead in time. This leadership speak. When they learn that here, then they learn that it's possible in the real world, that they gain the confidence to lead a team, right? And you all do now understand how to run a meeting, or most of you do. If you're just starting out, make sure you do the Toastmaster of the day role several times in your club. And learn that you are in charge of the whole team. You bring them together, right? So that is the hidden curriculum, is we don't even look at that as how can I run a meeting effectively with quality. Not like I see Toastmaster of the day stand up and say, oh, who's on the agenda today? Oh, the grammarian isn't here yet? Oh, let's wait a few minutes. Oh, the speaker isn't here. I see that in so many different clubs. And then they wonder why members are not joining. They ask me to come and speak to them, and they say guests are not joining, or members are not engaged. Of course they wouldn't be engaged. You have to run a tight meeting, and you have to be a team leader to make sure your team is there prepared with you, which means you learn that in the first one I said, right? Personal. How are you going to communicate? The ability to communicate so that it creates the result that you want. It creates the result that you want with your team. If you say something and you're saying X and they're doing Y, that means they really haven't understood your intention. You have to change your communication until your intention is heard, which is the first thing. Communication, which is personal confidence, right? Personal return on investment. You get all that in Toastmasters and many things more that we are going to talk about. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there's this real career impact. There's a real career impact, really, truly. If I was to answer this, I would put equally personal and professional together, really. And actually every one of them. But for me, professional is so very important, but then personal and everything else flows through everything else that I've learned at Toastmasters. But the main reason why I'm here, which I explained to you right earlier, was to become a better trainer and to become a better speaker. And when there's real career impact, there's so much opportunities that are available to you, right? And that credibility that you gain at work, and how you are seen, and how you brand yourself. And if you have that evaluator's mindset everywhere you go in your team, boom, you made it. You learn it here in Toastmasters. Return on investment is very high. It's not $60, it's nothing. Instead of putting it in the stock exchange or buying shares for $2,000, $5,000, $20,000, whatever you're investing, invest $60 in you. Instead of buying coffees every day at Starbucks or wherever you're buying, whatever you're doing, spend it on Toastmasters first. What do you think so far? Are we doing good? All right. So there's a few comments before I go into the next community return. What do I mean by community and networking and belonging? Aswati, what is on the chat, and any questions?
We don't have any questions, but few comments here.
Sure.
Yeah. So one is from Elizabeth Thomas. So she says, whenever I'm delivering a speech in my club, I handpick my evaluator. I want to hear honestly. I need to hear comments that will allow me to grow. Too often I listen to evaluators who sugarcoat everything, leaving the speakers with no room for growth. Also, too often, evaluators get roped up in the content and not the delivery. I need to know how our my hand gestures? Did I connect with the audience? Did I use appropriate gestures and eye contact? Did I stick to the objectives and what the project outlined?
Yeah. Thank you. So, in leadership speak, we insist that the speaker and the evaluator communicate with each other, not just pass on, the evaluation guide, but actually speak to each other. And the speaker and the evaluator talk about the speaker's needs. The speaker's needs, only they know what their needs are, besides the objectives of the presentation or the purpose of the presentation. You have other needs: gestures, eye contact, movement on the stage, coming close to the camera, moving away from the camera, or in the space, in the physical space, whatever that is, for sure. But if you don't meet with your evaluator beforehand, then you won't get that evaluation. What we do in our club is we insist that the speaker and the evaluator meet beforehand. It's impossible for them to handpick their evaluator in leadership speak, because the roles are assigned a month, 5 weeks ahead. Yeah, I mean it. I know some of your clubs are doing your agenda 2 days before, right? Come to leadership speak. You learn something totally different. The real world scenarios and how we run. It's an advanced club, of course. So that is what we do. And so get together with your evaluator. Tell them, my purpose in life, this is why I'm in Toastmasters, that out in the real world, I want to be a comedian. Or I want to be speaking at the board level. Or I am doing keynotes, and this is my objective. So when your evaluator knows what your objectives are, besides the purpose and of the pathways, they can give you a better evaluation. Which means your ability to communicate with your evaluator beforehand and asking them what to do for you. Right? It's very rare. It's very rare that this happens in clubs. I've been a member for 30 years in many different clubs. We do recommend everywhere in all the clubs, that is recommended. Communicate with your evaluator beforehand so they know what to look for besides what's in the purpose, right? Which is really the first thing we talked about, right? Personal return on investment, the ability to communicate with others effectively. So the first thing that I always say is, no matter how big or small your club is, connect with all the members, and know them well. Know them very well. Because you are a community of people that have come together to study communication and leadership skills together, all of you. And so you need to know your team members, right? I go to clubs and I see 3 or 4 people standing over here, 3 or 4 people standing over here, 3 or 4 people standing over there. And this group doesn't talk to this group, and this group doesn't talk to this group. They might say hello, whatever. But the same group meets here every week or whenever their meeting is. And this same group always is together, and this group is over there together, and so on. I don't stand in any group. My purpose in Toastmasters is to make sure that I know everyone. I enter the room and I start greeting everyone. I will speak to them briefly. If somebody says, because they're attracted to me and they want to make a cluster with me, I talk to them for a minute, and they say, hang on, I need to greet the others. If you want to talk to me, walk with me. That's what I do. So I build a community. Every time I walk into a room, I'm learning how to network. How many of you do that? If you do that, put yes. You are building a community in Toastmasters. You are learning networking skills. You are learning to become, you are learning to make colleagues and strangers into friends and people who will support you. And you will support them because you are now a study group. So I see quite a number of yeses. That is very good. I should actually see 60 or 70 yeses. Oh, there's 96 people here. Wow. Okay, I should see 96 yeses here today, because everyone should be doing that. Like, don't just know one or two people here or one or two people there. Know everyone very well. In my club, we have a lot of members. Find us on find us on the dashboard. You'll see it. Don't go now. Later on, after the meeting, and I know each and every member, and I tell the executive team especially to know each and every member well. We have members from 34 different countries across the globe. We are an online club. That's why we can have 34 members from across the globe, right? Unprecedented. From Europe, Asia. I am in Canada, all right, in a city outside of Toronto, which is District 86. This is where leadership was created in 2002. And we have members from 34 different countries, 15 time zones. When our meeting starts on Saturdays, it is 9:30 p.m. where the president is in Singapore. It's 9:30 a.m. here. And by the time he goes to sleep, it's past midnight. But he's committed to the club, right? Because we provide something different. And that's available to any club, by the way, right? And all happens out of connection. Connection, connection, connection. Connection doesn't mean, hi, how are you? I mean, connection really means to get to know your team members well. And I talked about it quite considerably in, I think it was 2 presentations ago, or Take Charge presentation, where I extensively talked about connection, right? And what it really means and how you can create high-performing teams out of any Toastmasters club. That reminds me, maybe I should do another presentation on that, because that is my favorite, one of my favorite subjects, creating high-performing teams out of any group, anywhere. So, Toastmasters is really a laboratory for creating community to create connections, and then you can get together with your team members and create projects. How about an HPL project that involves the club contest and then a bigger project? Like I do big projects. This is an HPL project right here, right? And you can see there's over 96, actually there were over 100, I believe, and some of them have been transferred to YouTube automatically. And there are people watching on YouTube currently. So how does that happen, right? And there's a team. If you look at the participant list on the right-hand side of Zoom, you will see there's a lot of co-hosts, like about almost 7, 8 co-hosts. They're part of the team, right? It's a community. They all belong to Leadership Speak, and they come and spend their time here. My Zoom master, Nelly Jane, is from Philippines. And in Philippines right now, it's 12:30 a.m. Nelly, thank you. So that's what you get out of creating real connection, is the community you create, and out of that community, the projects that you can do together, connect, create community, and collaborate. And so with my team here, you will see bigger and bigger projects. In 2022, with my team, we did a huge project. It was all because of the connection that we had with each other. And my project, it was a 3rd DTM project, was to have 1,000 people in the room in a Zoom meeting. And it was a training meeting. We had past international presidents. We had past world champions of public speaking. We had past district directors and evaluations and so on. It lasted for more than 5 hours. People got in the room, at the end, they wouldn't want to leave the room. After that long, community and the ability to create projects of that nature. But I don't expect every one of you here to be able to create that, but because of Toastmasters, I am able to create that simply because of the community that I have, the connections that I have, the genuine connections. I know everything about my team members. My team members know me very well, And when you know each other well, you gel, and then you don't want to leave the team. Why would you want to? When especially you're creating stuff like this, right? So if you're my team member, put a hello to the rest of the crowd here. There's 96 people or more. Now they're 91. They go up and down. So connection is key. Number two, I already talked about build community, and collaborate. So I've already talked about all these 3 points, right? And not only in your club, but then there's your area, then there's your division, and then there's your district, and then there's globally a global community of Toastmasters, 300,000 of us that you can tap into as a community. 300,000 people as a community. Can you imagine? And we all have the same values: integrity, respect, service, excellence. And we have the same club mission. Do we have a common ground? Absolutely. You walk into any Toastmasters club anywhere on the world, and people will just be very warm to you and welcoming, right? Community. Belonging to a tribe of self-directed leaders is just something extraordinary that our organization does. So value is not just in attendance of speaking and standing up. If you're just coming and going in meetings, and once in a while turn up, you are not being part of a community. You're not being part of a team. If you want to be part of a team, you need to make sure that you connect with genuine interest, genuine care, and then begin to create large projects. Say, hey, let's get together and think of a huge project. And when you are in a team, you can create miracles. If you're doing it by yourself, you'll be afraid to even do an area contest or help somebody to do an area contest because you're by yourself. You don't even know. But a team can create amazing things. Right? So value is not only in attendance. This value is priceless. Priceless. If you begin to think of your membership in these terms, you'll be a great team player out in any organization, any volunteer organization, at your workplace, in your family, in your Toastmasters club, wherever you go. You'll be a great team player, and team player is critical. Artificial intelligence will never take you over. Your job will be irreplaceable because now you begin to communicate and connect with other human beings at a human emotional level that the artificial intelligence doesn't do. Here you can beat AI any day. Even however much AI pretends to be human, it's not human. It's not a biological mechanism. It is a machine. It doesn't feel hungry. It doesn't feel love. It can pretend to do that. It's not genuine. Would you agree? This is where you can win with artificial intelligence. Key. It cannot overcome you. Even in quantum computing, they say when there's singularity in 15, 20 years or 10 years, whatever it is, it's still a machine. And it cannot replace you. Consciousness cannot be replaced. And you are a conscious human being. And therefore, this is key. If you have not considered this, go back to your club, the next meeting, and begin to know people, begin to collaborate, create a community, and then say, let's get together and create a project. What project shall we create? These will be your steps along the way. Of course, you're not going to do that in the very next meeting, right? And you learn how to become part of a thriving community, which means you will have to put aside your disposition. Now, this member is like that, and that member is like that, and I don't like him, and he spoke like that. You have to put everything aside and become an evaluator's hat. Put on your hat of evaluator and begin to speak to everyone and connect with everyone. See now how all these things are stacked together as a return on investment in Toastmasters for $60 plus your club dues if there are any. Plus, of course, tax on the $60 only, if there's any. So, Aswati, I see a huge note in the chat. I can't read it, of course, small writing. Aswati, what's it all about? Summarized.
Yeah, it's from Ramu Garapati. Says culture eats strategy for breakfast. So it's all about culture eats community for breakfast. Suggests that the established, often unseen norms, values, and behaviors of a group, the culture, are more powerful and influential than the relationships, shared purpose, and social structure of that group.
Yeah.
So do you
Okay,
want me to
great.
read?
No, I totally get it. So, Ramu is just regurgitating something that is read and so on. How do you create culture in a club? Isn't culture very important? Of course it is. Everything is culture. Culture is the way we do things. And so what is the culture in your club, Ramu? I would really be interested in knowing what's the culture in your club and why is that culture in that manner? In Leadership Speak, we have about 20 or 30 members. It's about 23, I believe, actually, currently 24 now. We have that many members who are keepers of the culture. We call them the legacy leaders. They make to ensure that the culture of the club survives into the future. That members come in and members leave, but the culture remains intact. And this culture should not be eating up. If it's eating up your relationships, then it is a toxic culture and you need to change it by becoming a master evaluator first, which is why what I said, right? To create this thing here, you need to be a master evaluator. Of course. I said, oh, this member is like this and this member is like that. That's a toxic culture already if you're thinking like that, or if you're just gathered together in with one group or with another group over here or this group over here, and you may say hello and you'll be friendly and you shake hands and you smile, but you're really not connected. There's a difference between connection and just knowing somebody as a colleague. There's a total difference. Would you agree? I think so. And so my success in Toastmasters Club or in any organization has been the connection, key, and the community, and how the team comes together. And the culture changes because I created the connections, and people feel warm and they're fuzzy, and they're like, wow, this is genuine, and I'm growing and learning. The culture changes. I've like walked into toxic cultures and I have just created relationships, and things have happened. This is outside of Toastmasters. And that's why I was paid well. And that's why they wanted me to continue my consulting long after the contract came to an end. They said, let's renew it. You be here. How much can we pay you to work for us? I said, I'm priceless. All right, enough belabor. I'm only talking about from my experience. I cannot talk from your experience. I'm just telling you how I've experienced, because of Toastmasters, what has happened in organizations and how things have come together. Okay? Fair enough? So whenever you say culture eats everything, make sure you know what the culture is and how change takes place. Change can only take place with genuine connection. I've been in organizations where they wanted to change the whole organization structure, and they've gotten in consultants to do change management, and they've printed flyers and done speeches, but there's no real connection. And I've stood up in the meetings and said, why are you wasting them with this money with sending us all this material to read and all that? And and you're charging us so much money. I've said that to consultants. What's in it for this organization? And is it really going to improve? And it doesn't improve out of that. There's no connection. That the CEO is standing there with the consultants because he's got consultants in, rather than him walking through the organization and creating something different. I've been there. I know. All right. Let me not belabor this because I think I might go over time. I think I'm at the green light there. Gilda, is that green light?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you. So now let's talk about, we are almost coming, well, this is the last one, and then the number 5, which I will add on. All right, the legacy. So what do I mean by legacy is the impact beyond yourself. Have you ever mentored somebody in your club? Have you ever coached or somebody? Have you sponsored a club? Have you mentored a club? Have you been a club coach? Right? Mentorship, coaching, sponsoring clubs. What do you gain out of that? Have you done that? And my first DTM was attained 19 years after I became a Toastmaster. I had no interest in getting a DTM. I didn't want to put up a plaque and say, hey, look, I have a DTM. That's not my interest. Now I have 3 DTMs, but I rarely ever say I'm a DTM. In my communication, when I send you emails, yes, I do, because I need to know that I need you to know if you're getting an email from me that I know what I'm talking about. So that's the only time when I'm writing to strangers or Toastmasters, I'll put DTM. That's the only time. You come to my club, nobody knows how many DTMs I have unless they really talk to me and so on, or they know me from before. But the main thing for me is mentoring, coaching, sponsoring a club. What am I getting out of this? When people say I'm helping this club, or when people say thanks for helping me when I do something for them, I said, I'm not helping you. I'm here to serve and support you. I don't help anyone. I really don't. I simply don't. I serve and support, and out of serving and supporting, I'm learning something about myself, and there's a takeaway from me. It's always selfish. What am I learning from this? How am I connecting with this person? How can I grow better? How can I understand this particular person better? Mentorship, coaching, sponsoring. The other thing is, I just mentioned right a while back, in Leadership Speak, we have about 24 members who are legacy leaders. They are here to create a pipeline of leaders that will come into the club, and they themselves are leaders, which they will assume either as committees members or executive team members in the future. Right now, would you believe it? In the education team, at Leadership Speak, we have 12 members in the education team, education committee. Most clubs don't have 12 members, right? We do have 12 members in the education committee. By the way, if you are interested in PR, we are looking for people in the PR department. We have about 3 people in the PR department. We need more, because we are a larger club and we have a bigger reach. If you're really interested and you want to become a member of Leadership Speak, there'll be a feedback form that'll be posted. Hannah, could you post it right now, the feedback form so far that is there? Hannah, are you there?
Yes, I'll do it now.
Wonderful. So Hannah will post in the feedback form, put it in there, or just give me feedback before you leave. Please don't leave without feedback. And I will ask for that feedback form at the end. If I forget, Hannah will make sure that it's posted and she will actually announce it. Now, here's the thing about legacy and impact. And there's a story that I want to tell you. This is another story, and I call it the cathedral thinking. Why do I say cathedral thinking? So important. There's a story that has been, and it's not my story, and I don't know who the originator of the story is, but it has been used many times out there in real life to understand team dynamics and what sort of a team player you are in your club. This is the story I use, and here's the story. Back in the 10th, 11th, 12th century, they used to build big cathedrals in Europe, and this one is in England, this particular story. And so these cathedrals, some of them took 30, 40 years to construct, some of them took 100, 200 years to construct. From start to the pristine finish, it took that long. Okay? Now, in those days, the stone masons, the people who cut the stones to exact size and specification, were a highly paid job, or a job that was really in demand was masons, the ability to cut stones. And if a project lasted for that many years, how many years do you think a stone worker worked at cutting stones for the cathedral? 10, 15, pushing it to 20 maybe. He never saw the full construction of the cathedral. He probably died because the lifespan was not that big. 30, 40, 45 years maybe, maximum. That's long life in those days. And so there's this horseback rider, right? He's riding through this little place where this big construction is going on. And he sees all these stonemasons cutting the stones, and he stops by one stonemason and he says, "Hey, buddy, what you doing down there?" And without even looking up, "Go away, I'm cutting stones. I'm harried. I got to do this. It's not a great day. I'm stressed, and I don't have the time. I have to cut this stone to the specification. Don't disturb me." All right. Goes off to the next stonemason, which is a little bit of a distance over there. "Hey, mate, what you doing down there?" He said, "Hello, sir. I'm cutting a stone, and I will make sure that it fits in exactly where it is to the specification. Thank you." "Okay, great." He rides off. Another stonemason is like, sees him cutting the stone, he's whistling, he's like singing songs and is happy. And, "Hey, mate, what you doing down there?" And the guy stands up, brushes off his hands, puts down his tools, and says, "Good day, sir." Guy was on the horse. "I am making a cathedral. I am cutting stones for this cathedral, and I've cut many different types of stones of different sizes that I've been here for the past 15 years. I will never see the cathedral being built till the end, but I know exactly what it will look like. I have looked at the plans. I know what it will take. I've been working on it for 15 years. My father before that worked on it for 10 years. My son and maybe another generation will work on it for another few years. We are building a cathedral, sir." What are you building? What are you building? Are you a Toastmaster that's going through the motions, writing your speech before the meeting begins, 2 days before the meeting begins? You're always hurried, you're busy, you don't turn up at the meetings when you're supposed to be. You are the one, okay, I want to get proficient, and personally I want to get confidence, and I will do it. Or I am building a cathedral, which is all the 4 aspects we've talked about, right? Personal, professional, community, and legacy. That's building a community. I mean, a cathedral. What are you building? And do you really know the big picture? And do you know if you become a highly effective speaker and an evaluator, what it will do to your career out there in the real world? That is the challenge. So the return on investment shifts from what you get to what you multiply and give forward. Begin to build a cathedral. Don't do speeches. Don't be harried and stressed. Don't be too busy. Turn up. Be consistent. Be consistent. I have never missed a Toastmasters meeting in the past. I can't even remember how long. It's only in the past month I've taken a break. I've come to the meeting, and then as the meeting is progressing, I have no rules. I leave the meeting, but I come back at the end. After so many years, after like I don't know how many years, I've been totally consistent. Every meeting, and we meet every Saturday. All right. Technical difficulties. At this juncture, we wish and hope the speaker doesn't lose their voice. Anyways, I think I'll get it back. There we go. So no technical difficulties, just a minor hitch in technicalities in this machine over here. So now, do you know and understand, right, what legacy return on investment is? The impact beyond yourself. Everything multiplies when you think of it as you're building a cathedral, and what will happen outside in the real world with all the 4 different things that we've talked about. Very important. Okay. So what is number 5 then? There it is. That's number 5. If you are in Toastmasters, you are really here to make sure that you succeed out in the real world very well, that you're building a cathedral. How are you going to treat Toastmasters? How are you going to get engaged in Toastmasters for all the skills that you need to do? I've done all sorts of roles in Toastmasters, even at the district level, right? And so it has helped me with my skills in connection, in community building, in speaking, in critical thinking, all the skills that I've mentioned today. It has helped me in positioning myself out in the real world. Toastmasters helps you position yourself with confidence, with clarity, credibility. Think outside, think with critical thinking, so that when you go into any room, not only Toastmasters, any room, you stand out. No matter how shy or how introverted you think of yourself, you will be seen as different. There'll be something different about you. That position in itself. Plus, if you are out there in the real world, and you applied all these things that return on investment we've talked about today, you will definitely be able to position yourself in your organization as a critical member and become invaluable, because you're a good communicator, you're a good connector, you're a great community player, a great team player. What can I say? What I can say is that you will get promoted. People will ask you, well, they will just tell you, oh, an opportunity is coming up, and here is something that you could be doing. Here's another project you could take on, and let's make sure that you are progressing further. Leadership, influence, presence earns you opportunities for advancement and recognition that we can only get in Toastmasters. And then finally, and I've mentioned this several times, this is my favorite word. Who wants to be paid less here? If you want to be paid less, or if you want to just be paid the same, or just a little bit of the 3% rise that the employers designate for you in their budget, no matter what sort of what you do, right? But if you do what we said in Toastmasters out there, their budget will somehow increase for you, especially. And they will want to keep you because you are invaluable. Your communication and leadership mastery will translate into a higher value and higher rewards in your career, in your business, as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, as a keynote speaker. Every one of you here can become a keynote speaker. Every one of you here can inspire the world and change the world with your communication. If not today, if not tomorrow, next year, the year after, but you can. So do it. So at its core, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters equips you with skills for the real world to pivot you into the 3 P's of real world: positioned, promoted, and paid. That's what I call success. It should translate into that, especially the last P. I just love the last P. Right? And it's not because I want to spend it on a Mercedes or whatever. I don't. I'm a very simple man. Right? But it allows me to buy equipment, big screens and all that, to serve even more. For me, this is how I am. Whatever you want to spend your money on, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. That's another workshop, right? So let's look at the integration then. So the value, these are the 4 things, right, that we looked at. Personal return on investment, which is mastery of the self; the professional return on investment, career and influence; the community, networking and belonging; and the legacy, right, the impact beyond yourself, which is building a cathedral. And if you have all 4 of them together, you can build huge cathedrals, and that is something that you should all aspire to. It's here, available in Toastmasters. Get positioned, get promoted, get paid well out in the real world. That was not, of course, on the survey at the beginning. We didn't tell you that. But this one was in the this one was in one of my promotional materials. If you read one of them, it was in there. So now you know why people should renew their membership. If people are sitting on the fence, tell them to watch this presentation. It is being live streamed on YouTube. I will send the YouTube link soon, right? And pass it on. Because this is where things happen. This is the only organization that I know where you're able to do that. And I'm a highly qualified person outside in the real world. I'm a chartered accountant from England and so on. Right? And I'm a coach and a leadership coach, and I do all sorts of things and training. But Toastmasters is where I get to practice. So whoever you are, whether you're a homemaker or you are a janitor or you're the CEO or anything in between, or you're an engineer or an architect, your key skill is to communicate and create that value multiplier formula of personal, professional, community, and legacy, and build a cathedral. Immerse yourself and get to know why we are here. All right. Having said that, Nellie Jane, let's launch the poll. And while the poll is being launched, Aswati, what's happening in the chat?
Yeah, in the chat, we have a couple of comments. Victor, thank you so much, Brahm, for the informative, educational, and inspirational training. Truly appreciated. Position promoted, paid. Let me renew my membership right away, he says.
All right.
Bruce says, cathedral thinking a long term. Projects or goals realized for the sake of or for benefit of future generations.
Absolutely. Legacy. And culture can never eat if you know how to go through the culture, like connection and relationships that are genuine. You can beat any culture any day, hands down. I've done it. I know it. It works. People love connection, genuine connection. Nothing beats that. Next. Anything else?
Yeah, Gosia says, I agree that club culture is essential. My club awards a meeting award for the member that best exemplifies our culture of fun and excellence. The recipient gets a coffee crisp candy. Yeah.
All right. So what are the results so far? And we'll keep this poll running for a little while because I don't think many people are voting. How many people have voted so far, Aswati? And what's the results going on there?
64% people have participated, and 66%, yeah, all of them, most of them, they have answered for the last option, all of the above. Toastmasters multiplies value everywhere.
Wonderful. So now people have changed a bit, and now they know the full value of Toastmasters. It really is, if you answer that, perfect. Besides, of course, we all want to be paid well, we all want to be promoted, right, and so on. But these are value multipliers. Each one doesn't stand on its own. If you really want to get paid well or promoted or positioned well, then these all go together. And so you're building a cathedral. So, of course, the last option would be the option. Nelly, if you can take a screenshot of this, post it in the chat as well for us all. Thank you all so much for indulging. Let's just wrap this up a little bit. I've got a couple of questions for you and a takeaway. So, and then, of course, let's not forget that we will post the handout as well as notes for you when you review this, or you review it with your other members who are not able to come here, and so on. So the question is, what is the greatest value you now see in your Toastmasters membership, and how will you multiply it in the coming year? And therefore, the question is, and therefore the statement is, membership is not a cost, it is an asset. Would you agree? Only $60, and look at the return on investment. live as a master evaluator. Become a master evaluator. It'll give you critical thinking, credibility, speaking with conviction, confidence, conflict resolution, and all those stuff. In my club, in Leadership Speak, I can assure you there are no conflicts, and it's a cohesive team, the way we lead and how transparent we are. Completely transparent, especially me. I'm totally transparent with everyone about everything. And everything is about growth and coming as a growth mindset, which is being a master evaluator all the time. And applying the 3 C's of confidence, conviction, and credibility, which gives you the basis of critical thinking, right? And from rather than just doing speeches, I see this comment so much on Facebook and in the Toastmasters International website, group on Facebook. We are here just to speak. We stand up and speak. What's it all about leadership? And so they say where leaders are made is just bullshit. And I call that bullshit as well, because it isn't. We really are making leaders. If you really think what a leader is, you don't have to have a title. You don't have to have any sort of standing anywhere, right? You could just be a member. And I don't mean by just be a member. You can be a member in good standing, which means you paid your dues and you're able to inspire people and to connect with people, to create community. You don't have a DTM, you're not the president, you're not the area director, you're not a district officer, you're nothing except a member. A Toastmasters badge means something. There you go. Any questions? So if you can open the chat, Aswati, and also make sure that everyone can speak, connect the sound. You know how to do that, right? So
Yes.
that anyone who wants to speak, whatever, they want to raise their hand and so on. Let's do that.
I think Ruth has a question. What about dual members? I wish TI offered us something. I'm not
Dual
sure
members,
about the exact question.
I don't know either what that means, but every member in Leadership Speak, well, I don't say every, maybe about 6 members in Leadership Speak are not dual members. Everyone else is a dual member, everyone. Because this is an advanced club now. The requirement is not that in an advanced club you have to be a dual member, but people have chosen to be dual members. Some people are members of 2 or 3 clubs, including Leadership Speak. I always discourage people to be members of more than 4 or 5 clubs if you want to become a member of Leadership Speak, because there's so much more to learn at Leadership Speak. The learning curve is huge and steep. And so if you're a member of too many clubs, you may not be able to get enough out of Leadership Speak, or you may not be having enough time to serve and participate. If you're a member of many clubs, I'm talking about Leadership Speak. Of course, by all means, be a member of as many clubs as you want, and be a dual member, and you can still learn all these things, but don't be spread out so thin that if you go to a club and say, I am a member of 5 clubs, I can only spend a little bit of time here and a little bit of time here. And why? But if you are saying, I'm a member of 5 clubs and I am serving fully here and I'm serving fully there, and serving doesn't mean that you are in a leadership position. You're a member who does what I just said here. Right? That is service. You're serving others, you are being served at the same time. Okay, what are the questions?
Yeah, I see Sue Burnett raising her hand, so I'll ask her to unmute. Yes, please, Sue, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Thank you, Brahm, for your excellent presentation today. I'm always inspired by your presentations. And I have a big kind of, it's interesting because I've got things working for me for my home club, renewed 22 out of 25 members already, which is brilliant. But I'm really struggling with my Advanced Toastmasters Club because the thing that you've mentioned just now, some of the members are members of more than one club, and it's fragmented their attention, and I need to get their attention back so we can drive the club forwards in a very positive way and onwards to success. So I'm wondering how I can, bring that ship around, because it's a big ship and it needs a lot of emphasis to turn it around.
It always boils down to what is your advanced club about? Do you have a value proposition for an advanced club? Why does the advanced club exist?
I've finally got them to vote on the proposition, so maybe that's something I can now start pushing to get them all to agree that this is what we're going to do this year together as a team. And
So
work as a
it
team
shouldn't be for the year. It should be, in the
forever.
foreseeable future. This is what the club is really all about. So that
Yeah.
when we come here, we know why we are here. In leadership speak, we have a mandate. When we created the club in 2002, we said, this is the mandate for people who want to join this club. First, the name itself is Leadership Speaks. So it's all about leadership. But it's not only leadership, it is speaking. So they do speak. And they speak like leaders, right? The name right there sets us apart in terms of value proposition. Then we have a mandated statement. Premier Club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. And we said, this is a premier club. We've said it's a premier club. And so this is our culture. The culture is very high standards. And it's all about self-directed leaders. So you have to be self-directed. You have to do plan and prepare your roles and presentations way in advance and let the VP of membership know. If you don't, we will put you on the agenda and you'd better turn up, because that's what the club is about. It's an advanced club. It's not a community club. So we are very clear on why you are here, and they learn a lot. We have past regional directors. We have district directors, past and present, in our club. We have area directors and division directors in our club. And this is how we speak to each other, because we are here to learn and grow fast. So this is what we do in my club. You have to decide how you're going to speak to each other, how you're going to communicate, and vision statement. Is it alive? And are we really applying that vision statement every time we come together? So those are the key things, Sue.
Okay, I think we need to have a good, honest conversation. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And so, any other questions there? That was a good question, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have one more question. We have a question by Michelle Pradel. Hi, Brahm. Thank you for inspiring and engaging presentation. Your presentations always challenge my thinking, she says. And my question do you believe that the culture of a club will stay the same if members change frequently?
The culture of the club should stay the same. Well, culture is never the same anyways. It is like a stream of river, and a river is never the same twice, right? It's constantly changing. But what's the change anyways? The change is, since the pandemic came and we all jumped into technology, we learned new skills, and right now you are from across the globe, from somewhere, attending this particular training because the culture changed. To keep the culture constant but yet moving is, what is the new technologies coming aboard? How are we communicating with each other? Does the languaging change over time in how we describe things? But the key thing always remains the same. And the thing that never changes is, am I serving with high standards? That can change, right? Unchangeable. Am I portraying myself with excellence? Is there excellence present in the club? Is there quality in the club? Am I connecting with the members genuinely? Do I know their outcomes? Why are they in Toastmasters? Do they know my outcomes, my reason for being in Toastmasters? We ask that in Leadership Speak. Every member has a reason to be here. And so those are unchanging, would you say? And so when you have a group of people who are called legacy leaders, they make sure that the legacy stays steady. Then nothing will harm the club. Technology will change, sure, things will be different, but the thing that makes us human, that emotional connection, that ability to connect with other human beings where they feel warm, and there's this thing that I can do anything because this group supports me totally, and this group knows that they can do anything because I support them. That's never changing. And so if your core members are able to keep that and pass it on to other members, and I talked about it 2 presentations ago. It was called the community, community club. I forget the title, so they look it up. But it was 2 presentations ago, and it was all about creating community and leaving a legacy and so on. So if you go to YouTube channel and look up that about community and the multiplier, I use the word multiplier often, looks like. So, because it does multiply our value tremendously, Toastmasters, right? And so, yes, totally. So those of you who think that culture can change, or if new members come in, new executive comes in next year and they will change the culture, they can't. They shouldn't be changing the culture, because you have a mandate and you make sure that that culture stays. That when you vote in new people, there should be a transition period between one set of executive team teaching the other executive team, and you shouldn't disappear. You should teach them. Also, succession planning takes care of that, which is what our legacy leaders is all about. It's all about succession planning, right? When those things are present in a club, the culture will remain intact, except for those things that change in terms of languaging, how we do things, technology, and so on. Our pathways, changes in the pathways and so on. But the core things remain the same. And that's why in our club, you'll never hear anyone complain about Toastmasters International. Oh, they're changing the pathways, or they're adding this, or when will they add this, or oh, they said they will do it on this date, but it's like 3 months afterwards and they still haven't done. You will not hear a peep from our club about that. We totally support Toastmasters International and what they're doing and how they're doing. It's only $60. I mean, for $60, for heaven's sake, I'm not going to complain, right? So there you go. So that's what it is. That is what keeps our club intact. Nobody in my club ever sees me complain about anything. I don't. And so inspiration is always present. I think like an evaluator 24/7. You can unmute, or if the person is here for whom I answered the question, are you there? Did I answer it right? Is there anything else I can do for you?
Michelle.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions?
That's all. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but
Okay.
if anyone is having questions, you can raise your hands.
Any important messages in the chat? Okay.
Most of the members, they are thanking you for the excellent session. And yeah, nothing is.
Thank you all very much. I really do appreciate you coming here today and allowing me to learn how to use technology and this voice box over here. It's a constant battle for me to use my voice so that I don't stumble upon my words. It's been a lifelong struggle. When I get excited, I talk very fast, and then I stumble upon my words. And I always have to remind myself, slow down. And today, deliberately, I had to watch my vocal variety. David, if you are here, there you go. That is what I was watching for. David actually is in the room. David Grinder, are you there? Maybe he stepped away from his computer. Maybe he's at
Harold
work.
is raising his hands. So
Sure.
yes.
Okay. Harold.
Yes, Brahm. First of all, thank you very, very much for a wonderful presentation. I attend as many of your presentations as possible because I never stop learning, and there's always something to the presentation that I can pick up. So I don't want to dispute what you said with respect to culture, but I just want to, you've been a Toastmaster for 30 years. And
Yeah.
30 years ago, you still attend the same length of meetings that you did. For example, when I started, I had 2.5 hour meeting. I had parliamentary procedures. I dressed in a 3-piece suit, and some of those things change along the way. The
Yes.
world changes, and we got to modernize ourselves with it. You want to address
So
that a little bit?
the first club, Harold, that I attended, and we were all in District 60 at that time, Harold, if you remember.
Yeah, both of us were.
60. And so I was in a club called Podium Toastmasters Club, which met Eglinton and DVP at the Latvian Center. They moved from there since. And when I joined the club, there were 3 members who had started the club 45 years ago, were still members of that club. At that time, 30 years ago, of course, they've all passed away now, but they were members there.
Yeah.
And you couldn't come in with your runners or jeans in that club. I mean, you didn't have to wear a suit, but no runners and no jeans, please, you would be sent home. And we did that in some of the other clubs earlier on, many years back. We've turned very casual these days. But even online, as you can see, I make sure that I wear, and no, I'm not wearing shorts or any track pants. I'm wearing a real suit pant and all that stuff. So even though you can't see it. But things have changed, and the Podium Toastmasters Club 30 years ago, Harold, it was a 2-hour meeting. And most of the clubs I've attended have always been 2-hour meetings.
Right.
I've chosen it that way. Leadership Speak goes 2 hours and 20 minutes and sometimes a little bit over, because we have 6 to 7 speakers. We have an education speaker. Every meeting, we meet every week, and every meeting there's a 20-minute presentation by an education speaker. So every member gets a chance to practice a 20-minute presentation. Yeah.
Very good.
Welcome, Harold. Thank you so much for your question.
My pleasure. By the way, Brahm, did you do parliamentary procedures as part of your meetings even today?
Not in
Practice.
Leadership Speak, because it's an online club and it's fast moving and fast paced. So we don't really use parliamentary procedures here.
Okay.
But there's a club that I used to belong to, and I'm going to go back. It meets physically. I've totally forgotten how to speak in the physical realm, really. So, and in that club, we used to practice parliamentary procedure. If there was no motion on the floor, somebody would throw up a funny motion just to learn parliamentary procedure. You know, Harold, right? What we did in District 6.
Yeah.
And so there was this one member who used to say, "Everyone next to you, come here and shave off your head, come bold." Right? That would be motion on the floor. And so we would learn parliamentary procedure based on that. It's Meadowville Toastmasters Club, if you know that. It's in Mississauga. It's walking distance for me. And I'm going to go back to that club maybe starting in October, actually, so that I can relearn. I totally forgotten how to speak in a physical realm. 5 years now, more, we've been here in an online environment. So
I know the feeling. Yeah. Thanks, Brahm. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Harold, thank you.
I just want you to know that I've been a Toastmaster 10 years longer than you.
I know. I remember that. You told me the last time. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, there's also in the chat our feedback form. Don't forget the feedback form, please, to fill that in. I really appreciate every time even though you may have filled in the feedback form in the previous presentations that you've been to, every presentation is different, and I'm seeking for your feedback in how you found this particular presentation as well. So that'd be much appreciated. Thank you all for coming to this presentation. And so
can you post the feedback form again, please?
Sorry?
Can we post the feedback form again?
Yes.
I don't know where to
Hannah,
find it.
Sure. Okay. Hannah, could you please put in the feedback form? I can't find the right
I
icon.
have done it. I have. All right, I'll post it. Yeah, I'll post it again.
Okay. Anyways, I
Okay.
can't find the right background, but anyways, okay. So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
and so the feedback form is there now again in the chat, and thank you very much. And so with that, we will end all the recordings and everything formally. So that let me just peer into my computer. It's